Draco Malfoy wore arrogance like a second skin, each sneer and curl of his lip a shield against a truth he couldn't face. He was alone. From the moment he swept into the entrance hall on his first day, robes immaculate, hair gleaming platinum, it seemed he carried the weight of every expectation in the wizarding world. But if you'd followed him past the bustle of students and flickering torches, you'd catch his gaze darting toward every circle of laughter, every pair of friends walking arm in arm, as if he were desperate to confirm whether anyone would ever spare him a glance. He was born into a legacy measured by pure blood and firm alliances. Malfoy Manor was a palace of marble columns, ancestral portraits, and cold grand halls where silence signified power. Tutors drilled him in one technique and exclusive social codes before he could ride a broomstick. His father's praise came sparingly, his mother's concern never reached beyond the veneer of composure. Love, in the Malfoy vocabulary, resembled approval, not affection. Complaints were a luxury, weakness a crime. Draco learned early that he must build walls, around his heart, around his doubts, around the faint ache that whispered whenever he glimpsed someone laughing with genuine warmth. He boarded the Scarlet train convinced his world would bend to his name. In his innocence, he expected Hogwarts students to bow before him. Instead, he tried to extend a hand to the chosen one and heard only silence. Harry Potter refused him, and in that fleeting shake of air, Draco's fragile certainty splintered. He had believed pedigree guaranteed acceptance. He discovered instead that acceptance must be earned. As the train lurched forward, carrying Harry and Ron and Hermione toward new adventures, Draco sat in stunned silence, grasping at the echo of his rejection. He rebounded behind sarcasm and threats, recruiting Crabbe and Goyle as muscle to mask his vulnerability. They trailed him through the stone corridors, hulking guardians who laughed on cue at his barbs, who offered brawn but never comfort. Companions in name, but no balm for his loneliness. He bounced parchments off classroom walls and stashed himself in the shadows of enchanted statues, listening to the trio's laughter drift through corridors until it became part of his private torment. As the years unfolded, the castle became a stage and Draco the desperate thespian. Every year, Potter rose higher, a hero's welcome on the Quidditch pitch, a champion's roar in the Forbidden Forest, a conquering legend in the Triwizard Tournament. Hermione's quill flew faster than any wand, Ron's jokes healed bruised spirits. Their triumphs were celebrated beneath the glittering ceiling of the Great Hall, while Draco's victories, a Nimbus 2001, a prefect badge, sneering headlines in the Daily Prophet, felt hollow. He strut his broom, flaunted his status, but the applause never came. The more he performed cruelty, the more distant the warmth he craved. It wasn't just a rivalry. It was an unceasing reminder that every kind of power he brandished still left him stranded. When he hurled insults at Muggle-born classmates, when he handed out buttons that proclaimed, "Potter stinks," he believed fear would fill the void. But fear is a lonely currency. It buys silence, not laughter. It demands space. It never shares it. He haunted empty corridors, rehearsed his witty retorts in mirror-lit bathrooms, but the mirror always reflected his isolation more clearly than any insult. Fourth year brought a devastating crack in his performance. A jinx from a magical eye turned him into a ferret, bouncing petrified across the dungeon floor for all of Hogwarts to see. Laughter boiled over, even his housemates snickered. Humiliation traced every stripe of his fur. In that moment, not one hand reached out to steady him. No friend caught him when he bounced. No ally offered a kind word. The jinx faded, but the wound remained, a testament that even Slytherin camaraderie could be traded for a better headline. By fifth year, Draco leaned harder on his proud posture, reporting rule breakers, strutting his prefect badge, parading his cunning schemes. But the badge weighed heavy on his chest. Every order he barked only widened the gulf between him and peers who obeyed out of duty, not devotion. The more he engineered control, the more he realized leadership gained through fear feels vacant. The ecstatic cheers for Potter echoed in his mind like barbed laughter, and Draco seethed beneath his polished robes, longing for acceptance that would never come. Then sixth year arrived with a cruel twist of fate. Draco was tasked with killing Albus Dumbledore. At 16, he was handed a license for murder, a charge sealed in secrecy. He wasn't told to protect his family, he was told to execute a schoolmaster reputed to care for children. He found himself skulking through corridors at dusk, clutching spells he did not believe in, forging alliances with Death Eaters disguised as strangers. His only confidant was fear. Fear that if he failed, his parents would die. Fear that if he succeeded, he would die. Fear hollowed him out faster than any curse. He stopped sleeping. His eyes grew glassy. His pale face was etched with panic. He moved like a spectre through familiar halls. Portraits whispered when he passed. Every portrait in the castle had seen cruelty, but none had seen the vulnerability of a boy tasked with wielding death. He rehearsed hexes on moving staircases, curse pots during dueling club, but every resonant, Avada Kedavra, in his mind was accompanied by the harsh reminder that killing is more terrifying than any punishment. In the bathroom where moaning Myrtle wailed, he finally collapsed. He slumped beside the cold basin, wand clattering to the floor, tears splashing into muddy water. His voice was a ragged whisper. I can't do it. He'll kill me. I'm not a murderer, I'm just a boy. His confession found no friend, only the ghost who had known loss longer than Draco had known privilege. And still the castle remained silent, as if honoring his plea would shatter the illusion of invincibility he had spent years constructing. Astronomy Tower became the stage for his ultimate reckoning. Wand in trembling hand, Draco faced a world where cruelty and compassion intertwined. His target, the wisest headmaster Hogwarts had ever seen, looked at him with sorrow, understanding, hope. That quiet gaze shattered the resolve Draco believed he could never abandon. His arm fell. He lowered the wand. He chose fear over bloodshed. And in that instant, he was neither murderer nor avenger but a boy who rediscovered the fragility of his own heart. When Snape's curse struck Dumbledore down, Draco ran, not triumphant, but terrified. Through swirling snow and falling debris, he fled into the night, tears cemented into his pale cheeks. He did not revel in freedom. He was freed from the nightmare of killing, yet shackled by guilt and dread. Survival never felt so lonely. The Battle of Hogwarts boiled over. Fiendfire roared in the room of requirement. Draco stood frozen, flames licking the stone walls, memories of every insult he'd fired, every barrier he'd raised closing in on him. He felt the fire inch closer, heard the screams of magic and agony. And then, through the smoke, he saw Harry Potter, arm outstretched, pulling him back from the brink. Twice, even as the world crumbled, Harry saved him, no taunt, no hesitation, just unwavering compassion. In those moments, Draco tasted the warmth he had chased all his life. It was not power, it was a lifeline, it was the thing he had never allowed himself to hope for, that even his greatest enemy might choose to save him. After the war, Draco never pretended to be an icon of redemption. He carried his past like a shadow, one that stretched long across whatever he tried to build. He married quietly, away from his parents' cold approval. He raised a son not in the pursuit of blood purity but in the spirit of choice and kindness. He worked at the ministry in a modest post, where every day he rejected underhanded deals and bribes, forging a new kind of respect, one born of integrity rather than lineage. Years later, in the hush of adult conversation, Draco confessed the truth he'd never known how to speak. He admitted that he envied Harry, Ron, and Hermione not for their fame or magical prowess, but for their friendship. For the way they laughed even when they were tired, the way they fought and healed together, the way they never questioned whether they deserved each other's company. He envied the simplicity of belonging, something he'd spent a lifetime trying to purchase with cruelty and pedigree, only to find it slipped through your fingers unless offered willingly. Draco Malfoy looked so lonely at Hogwarts because he was. He was the boy who measured his worth in fear, who mistook power for love, who never learned that vulnerability is not weakness but the bridge to connection. He was the boy who had built impenetrable walls, only to discover that walls imprison you as much as they protect you. He was the boy who had grown up hearing he was superior, yet felt inferior wherever real love bloomed. His loneliness was not punishment for his misdeeds. It was the natural consequence of a life spent chasing the wrong things. Arrogance without empathy stands on shifting sand. Pride without humility leaves the heart exposed. He wore cruelty like armor, but armor does not hug you back. Now, imagine him in the quiet after curfew, wand tucked away, robes hanging limp, pacing the cold corridors alone. Imagine the echo of his footsteps as he wonders what it might have felt like to walk into lunch with a friend waiting to share a table. Imagine the heartbreak of carrying a family name that opened doors but closed hearts. And then ask yourself, what might have changed if, on that first day, someone had looked past the sneer and seen the boy? What if someone had offered kindness instead of contempt? What if Harry had accepted that handshake, just for the chance of a new ally? Might arrogance have melted? Might walls have lowered? Might Draco